And we're back with diversity champion Torin Ellis and industry analyst Madeline Laurano. I want to dig into this comment about fear of buying AI because it replaces us, more so than we could get into trouble. And we've seen a lot of recruiters get laid off in the last few years. There's real fear about the future of my profession and what's going to happen to it. Should we talk more about that than the bias issue? Because to me, that seems like that's personal versus that's something that can happen to the company. Just your perspective on the importance of getting replaced by AI and not buying it because of that reason, but putting the excuse on bias.
I think it really comes down to we should have those conversations. And I don't think it needs to be an either or proposition. We can talk about the bias implications, but we can also talk about the fact that if you are not keeping up with the technology, the application of the technology, how it can add efficiency to the work that you are doing, the very way that Paradox does the work that they do. I just think that it's a fool's errand for us to ignore it, put our nose in the sand, and think that our fear is enough to protect us. You understand? If you're trying to wear that fear like it's a cape that's going to protect you, it's not going to work that way.
I think the antithesis of that.
We've read enough, we see enough. It is moving so incredibly fast. And so what I would hope is that when a person reads the research that Aptitude and TE have put together, that they walk away suggesting to themselves or reconfirming, how do I upskill my knowledge and awareness and ability to use and implement AI solutions in the work that I do? Because there is always that piece where humans have to be involved. I was a recruiter first. I was a practitioner, and I used to always say, humans do the best job of hiring humans. I believe it. It's a sword I'm willing to die on. And so no matter what technology hits the marketplace, I know that there is a special thing that happens when a candidate or when a decision maker or when someone is engaged with me. There's a certain energy that exchanges. There's a certain emotion that exchanges. AI is not going to replace that. So I'm never afraid that AI is going to do away with who I am. But I do believe that we just need to have more conversations that help people understand, don't be afraid, or let's shift that fear in a way that allows you to be even more productive in the work that you do.
So if I'm hearing what you're saying is there's a fire, we can be afraid of it, don't touch it, get away from it, or we can learn to use it and warm ourselves and survive. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Old African proverb, every man must bring a stick to the fire.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on the fear, the change factor?
Yeah, and I think if you look at, Torin started off with this piece of the conversation, but if you look at the role of HR, TA, these were, HR was the most important player in transformation during the pandemic, right? Remote work, we had, companies going and dealing with employee experience, mental health as being a priority, D&I was a priority, and HR was the main character in that conversation. Yeah. 4 years later, it's not. Companies are going through transformation and organizational transformation, and HR is not as involved as it was before. And I think we don't do a great job in this industry of validating the HR experience enough. I think every conversation needs to start out by validating this experience. The work you do is important, and it's hard work, and it's changing, but it's really important work. And I think if we can do that more, that fear of, am I getting replaced? I'm not important. I was a big part of company change and now I'm not, can go away a little bit. But I think that validation, and what I see even in conversations, is we don't validate this profession in a really important way.
Yeah, I agree.
That's partly our fault. We have plenty of individuals who sit very squarely at the table with the rest of the C-suite because they are talking about how it impacts business and the bottom line. They're not talking about cost per hire. They're not talking the time per hire because nobody knows what that means and they don't care. They care about the end of the day, bottom line, EBITDA, those types of things. So that being said, as we start to focus on, because this is all about education, right? This podcast, your research, everything that you do on a daily basis, Torin. What's next in being able to, because this is step one, right? This research is step one for you guys. What are you guys going to do next to be able to push it? Do you digest this, think about it, and think what's next? What's the next gap that we have to build a bridge for? What's next for you guys?
So I'll take a stab at it.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
I'll take a stab. So I think the first thing, for the way that I see it, is it's our first report. I wanted to team up with the best. I
got her.
trust the Mav. I mean, absolutely trust the work that she's done, the history she has. And so she's helped inform me, if you will. She's actually helped me to stretch my perimeter of what I think is even possible. And I just want to say thank you for that. So what I see is our releasing, small segments of the report in ways that help people really zone in and focus on, listen, you don't need to read all 40 pages, if you will. Take this one piece right here, and let's see how we can ideate, how we can let it marinate and mature inside of your organization to make a difference. Because what we didn't say here in the report is there are a number of spikes in such where organizations have implemented AI, and they've seen efficacy, they've seen efficiency, they've seen boosts that they had not seen prior to the decision. So we want to take it, break it down, micro learnings, if you will.
Yeah.
We want to be seen as a trusted partner. We're not trying to advocate or push for any particular vendor. We're just simply saying it's here. Make sure you get on this train at one of the sooner stops and not one of the later stops.
Yeah.
Exactly. AI is not going anywhere. We know it's here to stay. Companies need to feel empowered when they're making decisions around providers. And I think this study was eye-opening, I think, for both of us, and to just see the data and where companies are at and to see the interest and the demand around it. We didn't know what to expect. But I do see, especially for Torin and, his expertise, the reputation he has as a speaker, as an advocate, as an advisor, that this is a stake in the ground to say, this is not just a data point about AI. This is a really important educational piece that he could do every single year and serve as a benchmark for our industry about where we're at with AI.
Well, not to be too aggressive, but AI is moving so fast, and I'm very aggressive. You could do this more than once a year, right? This could be quarterly, because again, the velocity in which everything's moving right now. We used to be able to kind of like sit down, do one a year, and feel happy about that. Right now, from an educational standpoint, like you're talking about snackable learnings.
Yes.
Within that quarter, you have snackable, and then you go to the next one. So I see this again, the appetite that you both saw with the responses. This to me is necessary.
And there's so many ways to take it. You look at climate control and how is that impacting the way that we work and how we work. We look at Generation Z, the impact that they're going to bring into the workplace. So there's so many ways that we want to make sure that we are using AI as the center, or a part of the spoke. As the center, and spokes are some of the different aspects of consideration in our workplace.
Yeah.
I think if you marry the research that Torin's doing with this idea of, do we have a third party auditor on this? And if we get to a point where this is happening in the next year, Torin's research gets combined with the work of a third party auditor, that's very powerful.
Yeah.
And that was Madeline Laurano, founder at Aptitude Research, and Torin Ellis, the principal at the Torin Ellis Brand. Guys, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for something fun.
Appreciate you both.